Jackson was alone, deep in the outer zone, fixing the last bolts of his old cargo ship. The engines were old, the wires older, but it was still his home. His hands were dirty with grease, and the sound of tools echoed in the empty hangar. That's when a message alert blinked red on his dusty console. He wiped his hands and tapped the screen. Sender, Raka status, offline message. Jackson, this is my last call. If you ever trusted me, take care of my partner. The message ended there. No details. No voice. Just those simple words. Jackson stared at the screen. Raka, his old friend from the war. The alien warrior who once saved his life. Jackson hadn't heard from him in years. Now this message felt like a goodbye. His partner? Jackson said aloud. What, like a pet? Some alien creature? He checked the ship's logs. A crate was already inbound. It would arrive by nightfall. That night, a drone delivered the crate. It was large, heavy, cold to the touch. It had no labels, no warning signs, just one simple tag. For Jackson from Raka. Jackson dragged it inside. As soon as he did, the crate began to shake. Thump, thump, hiss, something inside was alive, breathing, scratching. Jackson reached for his old stun gun. Okay, Raka, he muttered. What have you sent me? He opened the crate. At first, he saw only shadows. Then, slowly, something crawled out. A figure. It wasn't a beast. It wasn't a pet. It was a female alien. She was tall, thin, and trembling. Her skin was a pale shade of blue. Her clothes were torn. Blood dried on her side. One arm held a strange curved blade. Her other hand reached out, then stopped. She looked straight at Jackson, her glowing yellow eyes full of pain and fear. Then in a weak voice she asked, "Where is Raka?" Jackson stepped back. He didn't say. Just sent you. Are you his partner? The alien woman narrowed her eyes. I must protect his secret, she said. Then she collapsed. Jackson pulled her onto a mattress near the engine room. He didn't know much about alien medicine, but he cleaned her wound and bandaged it. She was burning with fever. For hours, she mumbled in her sleep strange words in a language he didn't know. Jackson watched her all night. He tried to scan her identity, but no data came up. No name, no species. Just one word on the scan. CLSSI-80 by morning. She was awake. She didn't speak much. She didn't eat. But she watched Jackson closely, like a wild animal deciding if it should attack or run. I'm Jackson, he said, trying to break the silence. She didn't reply. Look, I don't know why Rika sent you to me, but I'm not your enemy. I'm just a mechanic. She pointed to his ship's weapon system. Not just mechanic, she whispered. Jackson blinked. How did she know about that? Only soldiers from the war knew how he'd hidden the laser grid under the cargo bay. She had training. Military knowledge. Maybe she wasn't just Raka's friend. Maybe she was part of something bigger. Later that day, Jackson checked the crate. Again, inside he found something odd. A tiny cube, hidden under a panel. It had the same glow as the alien woman's eyes. He touched it, and it projected a hologram. It showed Raka, tired, worn, but still strong. If you're seeing this, Jackson, I'm likely dead. What she carries is bigger than war. I can't say more. You must protect her. Don't trust anyone. She is the key. The hologram ended. Jackson looked over at the alien woman. She was watching him, her hand near her blade. What are you? He asked. She said nothing, but her silence spoke loudly. That night, as the stars passed slowly above his ship, Jackson sat alone, thinking. He didn't know who she was. He didn't know what Raka's secret was. But he knew one thing now for sure. She wasn't a partner like he thought. She wasn't here by accident. And someone, maybe many, would soon come, looking for her. He looked at the sleeping figure beside the glowing cube. This just became a lot more dangerous. He whispered. Outside the ship, in the black sky, a red blinking light flashed on. A distant satellite. Someone was tracking them already. Asterisk felt colder now. Jackson sat quietly at the control desk. Not fixing bolts, not running diagnostics, just thinking. The alien woman hadn't said another word since last night. She hadn't asked for food. She hadn't thanked him. She just watched him, like she was trying to decide. If he was a threat. At 0400 hours, Jackson heard soft footsteps. He turned fast, his hand going to his tool belt, but it was her. The alien woman. She stood still, eyes glowing in the dim red light of the ship. Where are we going? She asked, finally breaking the silence. Her voice was clearer today, stronger. Jackson blinked. Nowhere special. I was planning to go back. To Saturn's scrapyards. Sell some parts. Then maybe head to Luna for repairs. No, she said flatly. They will find me if we go near any outposts. He frowned. Who? The military? Pirates? Who are they? She didn't answer. Instead, she walked toward the weapon locker. She placed her hand on the lock. It opened. Jackson froze. How did you do that? That lock's coded to my biosignal. She turned her head slightly, then said something strange. Raka made me remember your signal. What does that mean? He trained me. For you. The words hung heavy in the air. Trained? For him. Jackson suddenly felt like a piece on a board he didn't understand. He was never important in the war, just a low-rank engineer. A survivor. But now. It felt like a trap was being built around him, and she was part of it. She moved fast, checking every corner of the ship like she had done this before. Her eyes scanned vents, ceiling panels, and cargo locks. She moved like a soldier, not someone recovering from injury. Why are you really here? Jackson asked. To protect the last code. What code? She looked at him, eyes serious. The one that could end every war. Jackson leaned back against the wall. Okay, let's pretend I believe you. Then why send it with me? I'm no hero. Raka said you were the only one who wouldn't sell me. She sat down across from him now. Her back was still straight. Her blade lay beside her, like a warning. He said you cared about life, more than credits. Jackson gave a bitter laugh. That old lizard always talked too much. For the first time she smiled. Just a little. Later that evening, something strange happened. The ship's radar beeped once, then again. Faint signal was approaching from the dark side of the moon. They were hiding behind. No ID. No alliance tag. No name. Jackson zoomed in on the screen. A stealth ship. Long, black, silent. Coming straight for them. Are they yours? Jackson asked. She stood up instantly. No, they're here for me. How did they find you? She tapped her chest. They always find me. She ran to the rear control panel and began typing a strange language into his console. Hey, that's my nav system. Jackson yelled. You want to live? Then let me help, she said quickly. The ship jolted. Engines kicked up. Shields activated. Where? Are we going? Jackson shouted. To the graveyard of ships, she said calmly. They won't follow us into there. Why not? She looked him dead in the eyes. Because no one comes back out. And just like that, Jackson realized this wasn't just about hiding. It was war, but not the kind fought with armies. It was one ship, one woman, one secret, and him just a mechanic stuck in something much bigger than he wanted. But he couldn't stop now, because deep down he needed answers, and maybe so did she. The stars outside were calm, but inside Jackson's ship, everything felt tense. The woman, still without a name, was sitting by the emergency exit. Her blade rested beside her. She hadn't slept in 2 nights. Neither had Jackson. He couldn't stop thinking about her words. They always find me. And now someone was coming. The radar beeped again, soft, then louder. Then faster. Jackson's heart started racing. He zoomed in. It was not one ship. It was 3. Dark, silent, no signal. Codes, no communication. Ghost ships. His hands moved fast over the controls. Maybe they're just traitors, he said. But he didn't believe his own words. The alien woman stood up, her eyes locked on the screen. That's them. Them who? Jackson asked. Hunters, she said quietly. Code breakers. What do they want? She turned toward him. Her voice was calm but heavy. Me, and what's inside me? Jackson stepped back. Wait, what's inside you? She said nothing. Just pulled up her sleeve. Under her pale skin was a glowing mark. Faint but alive. It pulsed slowly. A symbol unlike anything Jackson had ever seen. It wasn't just ink. It was moving under her skin. That's a living code, he whispered. What is that? It's the last key Raka built before the war ended, she said. A living system. One that can unlock any military AI, crash any fleet, and stop all weapons. Forever. You single quotes re. Carrying that. Yes, in my blood, in my bones. Suddenly, an alarm screamed through the ship. Target locked. One of the hunter ships had found them. Boom! A blast shook the hull. We've got to move. Jackson shouted. The woman was already in action, typing commands into the nav system. Rerouting power to engines, overriding safeties. Head for the graveyard, now. Are you crazy? No one flies into that place. That's why they won't follow. They dived into the ship graveyard. Old, broken ships floated like silent bones in space. Dead fleets from old wars. Debris. Static mines. Ghost echoes. Every pilot knew, go in too deep and you won't come out. But they had no choice. Another blast hit the wing. Sparks flew. Jackson gripped the controls, weaving between dead cruisers and shattered stations. This is suicide. She placed a calm hand on his shoulder. Trust me. And that was the strangest part. He did. Inside the wreckage field, everything went quiet. No radar. No signals. The hunter ships hesitated. They hovered at the edge of the graveyard. Then backed off. Jackson stared. Why didn't they follow? The woman looked out the window, her voice softer now. Because they know what I can do, and they're afraid I'll wake it up. Wake what up? She didn't answer. Instead, she walked to the center of the ship, knelt down, and placed her hand on the floor. Suddenly, the ship lights flickered. The cube from Raka's crate, still sitting near the engine, began to glow. Then came a sound. Not a beep. Not a warning. A voice. A deep, synthetic voice. Guardian recognized. Activation in 48 hours. Jackson's eyes widened. What did you just activate? She looked at him, and for the first time, her face showed fear. Something that cannot be stopped once it begins. For 2 hours, nothing moved. Jackson's ship floated silently inside the old battlefield known by smugglers as the graveyard. Broken ships drifted all around like forgotten ghosts. Power was low. Fuel was burning fast, but Jackson wasn't thinking about that. He was staring at her. She sat in the engine room, chest rising and falling slowly, as blue light pulsed beneath her skin. He had seen wounds before, but this wasn't a wound. It was alive. Glowing veins spread from her chest outward like a star map under her skin. It shimmered every few seconds. And every time it did, she winced in pain. Jackson crouched next to her. You need help. No, she said through gritted teeth. No doctors, no scans, but that thing is. It's growing. She didn't argue. She didn't lie. She just pulled down the zipper of her suit. And what Jackson saw made his heart stop. In the center of her chest, just above the heart, was a metal ring, fused to her bones. It wasn't a bomb. It wasn't a tracker. It was a living machine. Tiny wires crawled under her skin like roots. It blinked with the same light as Raka's cube. Raka put this in me, she whispered, before he died. Why would he do that? Because the enemy was already inside the alliance. He couldn't trust anyone. So he trusted me, Jackson said quietly. She nodded. But I didn't know he turned someone into a weapon. She looked down. Neither did I. That night, Jackson couldn't sleep. He walked into the cargo bay and stared out the window. The graveyard stretched forever. Old Earth ships. Cracked Martian carriers. Even alien gunships. Every wreck was full of stories. Stories of people who had no idea. They were heading to their last battle. And now he was here. With a living secret the whole galaxy wanted to find. Suddenly, a soft noise echoed from the hallway. A whisper. Jackson grabbed his light and followed the sound. It came from the engine room. When he entered, she was standing there, alone, shirt off. Chest glowing, her back was turned. She was speaking in her alien language. But no one else was there. Then the cube beside her blinked. Voice recognized, pulse sync complete. Warning, countdown active, 46 hours remaining. She turned to him slowly. It's not just inside me, she said. It's waking up. What happens in 46 hours? She didn't answer. Tell me, Jackson said firmly. Her hands trembled, her voice cracked. If we don't shut it down, every AI in the outer systems will go dark. Military fleets will fall. Drones, defense grids, satellites, all of it gone. Jackson's eyes widened. You mean, this thing will kill technology? It was made to end war by force. Raka believed peace needed a weapon too. Silence filled the room. Then Jackson spoke softly. You're dying, aren't you? She looked at him, eyes glowing softly. Piece by piece, every time it pulses, it eats more of me. Then we'll take it out. We'll find a way. She shook her head. If you remove it, it activates. Instantly, you'd kill every system within 100 light years. So what do we do? She stepped closer. Her hand touched his chest right above his heart. We find the one who can shut it down. The one who helped Raka build it. Who? An old human engineer. Name? You won't like it, she said. She leaned in and whispered a name. Jackson froze. No, that man is a traitor. He's your father, she said. He's dead, Jackson snapped. Then we better pray his mind still lives. Because if it doesn't, I die, and the galaxy dies with me. Outside, a faint echo shimmered across the graveyard. The hunter ships were back, but this time, they weren't hiding. They were calling others, and the countdown continued. Asterisk. The graveyard wasn't quiet anymore. The silence was broken. The hunter ships had returned, but now they weren't alone. 6 more signatures appeared on the radar. Fast, silent, surrounding. The wreck field like wolves around a wounded animal. Jackson stared at the blinking lights on the screen. They're closing in. The woman Ziri, as he now knew her, didn't even look at the screen. She stood with her eyes closed, listening. They brought the scorchers, she whispered. What's a scorcher? Jackson asked. Machines that burn everything. Even the sky. Ziri rushed to the cockpit. Her movements were sharp and fast. We have one chance. There's a storm brewing on the surface of Turex 9, she said. A magnetic storm. That'll fry the ship's controls, Jackson warned. Exactly, she said. That's why they won't follow. And we'll survive? How? She turned to him with calm eyes. You'll fly, I'll guide. We'll die, Jackson muttered. Then let's die running. They powered up the ship. The engine screamed in protest. Dust and metal shards swirled around them as the ship shot forward past drifting wrecks, through narrow gaps between dead hulls, and straight into open space. The scorcher ships locked on. Boom! A bolt of red plasma grazed the back wing. The ship spun. Ziri grabbed the controls beside him, stabilizing the ship. Head to Turex 9's shadow. That's where the storm is thickest. You're leading us into a death cloud. It's better than the alternative. The storm was already visible, massive, dark, alive with red lightning. It spread across the sky like a scar. No ships dared fly into it. No one. Except them. The Scorchers stopped at the edge. Ziri looked out the window. They're afraid. Jackson pulled them into the cloud. Everything went dark. Inside the storm. Signals died. Radar screens went black. Only flashing lights lit their path and Ziri's voice. Turn right, now left. Follow the pull of the ship, not your eyes. Sparks flew. The floor shook. Lightning cracked just meters away. Ziri stood still, hands glowing faintly. Jackson looked over. Her body was absorbing the storm's energy, guiding them through the chaos. You're sinking with it, he asked. It knows me, she whispered. It remembers Raka. Suddenly, a memory flashed in Jackson's mind. He saw his father young, angry, brilliant, arguing with Raka in a lab. This code can't exist, his father had shouted. If it's ever activated, there's no going back. Jackson snapped out of it. Ziri, this code inside you. It's waking my old memories. Yes, she said. It's connected to your blood. Your mind, that's why Raka chose you. I'm just a mechanic. No, she said. You're a key. A sudden jolt hit them. The ship's lights blinked out. Total blackout. Only the hum of the storm remained. Ziri's body lit up with blue light. The veins on her arms sparked like wires. They tagged us, she said. We're being traced. How? We're inside a magnetic storm. They placed a virus in the ship. Before we left the graveyard. Jackson ran to the control panel. The screens showed only one word, betrayal. Someone from his past had sold him out. My father's code. It's still active in this system, Jackson realized. They used it to track us. Ziri looked at him, her face pale. Then we have no time left. We must find the backup core. Where? It's not a place, she said slowly. It's a person. Who? She touched Jackson's hand. You. Outside, the storm opened like a curtain revealing a hidden moon, covered in wreckage, and something glowing deep beneath the surface. Ziri looked out with calm, tired eyes. That's where we'll find the truth, she said. And maybe the end of everything. The moon beneath the storm had no name. Its surface was cracked, frozen and dead. But hidden deep below was a signal. A heartbeat. Zer. I said it was the last outpost Raka ever trusted. An old Earth facility buried under layers of ash and silence. They landed carefully, smoke still rising from the damaged thrusters. Jackson stepped out first, blaster ready. Place looks empty. It won't be, Ziri whispered. The past never stays dead. Inside the outpost, the halls were dark. Old banners of the Human Mirak Alliance still hung from the walls, torn and forgotten. Dust floated in the stale air. Ziri walked like she'd been here before. This is where I was made, she said quietly. Jackson turned. Made, not born. Built, modified, turned into a carrier. He wanted to ask more, but heavy footsteps echoed in the dark. Someone was coming. The door slid open. A tall man stood there in military armor. Earth Force, but not just any officer. Commander Ryle? Jackson said, shocked. Hello, Jackson, Ryle replied with a tight smile. Still fixing junk for food? You trained with my father. That's right, and your father would have done anything to stop what's in her. Ziri stepped back, eyes narrowing. Her hand slid toward her blade. We came for help, Jackson said. To shut it down. Oh, I'll help, Ryle said. But first, she has to die. Dozens of soldiers entered from hidden doors. Guns raised, traps locked. Jackson's ship was already surrounded. You betrayed us, Jackson whispered. No. Reel said calmly. I betrayed Rika a long time ago. Ziri moved fast like lightning. She slashed 2 guards before they fired. Jackson grabbed his weapon and pulled her behind cover. Why would you do this, Ryle? Jackson shouted. Because the galaxy needs war, Ryle said. It feeds the system. Raka's code would break everything. It would bring peace, Ziri hissed. Exactly. Peace is bad for business. Suddenly, the cube in Ziri's bag lit up. It floated into the air and pulsed with light. Ryle stepped back. What is that? Final lock disengaged. Countdown 24 hours. Ziri's body glowed. The code in her chest surged. She fell to her knees. It's too fast, she gasped. They triggered it early. Jackson rushed to her side. Stay with me. I can't hold it back anymore. Then we run. No. You must get to the vault, she said. Under this outpost. That's where Raka hid the failsafe. I'm not leaving you. You're the key, Jackson, she whispered. I'm just the carrier. Jackson looked around. Guards were closing in. Ryle was giving the kill command. Ziri's body was glowing brighter, shaking the room. Then Jackson made a choice. He grabbed Ziri, lifted her over his shoulder, and ran toward the emergency shaft. Gunfire rang out. Sparks flew. Steel screamed. They dove into the tunnel, falling deep into the belly of the outpost. Darkness silenced only the sound of Jackson's heartbeat. They landed in a quiet chamber, round walls, ancient tech, and a single glowing console. Ziri coughed blood. You need to link your DNA, she said. It will recognize your bloodline. It will obey. Why me? Jackson asked again, voice shaking. Because you're not just your father's son, she whispered. You're Raka's last choice. Jackson placed his hand on the console. It lit up. A voice echoed through the room. Jackson, if you're hearing this, I'm gone, and she's dying, but inside you is the last piece of me. The code will obey you, because you never wanted power. You only wanted peace. Tears burned in Jackson's eyes. Behind him, Ziri collapsed. He turned. No, Ziri. She reached up, barely breathing. I kept it safe. I did my part. Now to yours, and with that. Her eyes closed. The room went silent. Outside the outpost, Commander Rail ordered the tunnels bombed. But deep below, a new force was waking. And Jackson was no longer running. He was going to finish what Raka started, even if it killed him. The vault shook above him. Dust fell like rain. Explosions echoed from the upper levels. But Jackson didn't move. He sat beside Ziri, still, body, her pale face glowing faintly. She wasn't breathing, but the code inside her still pulsed. Slow, weak, alive. The console beside him blinked with one final message. Manual override required. Code transfer, human host. Jackson looked at his hand, then at her. You carried it this far, Ziri, he whispered. Now it's my turn. He placed his palm on the core. Pain shot through him like fire. The console lit up. Blue light crawled up his arm, into his veins. He screamed, but he didn't let go. DNA confirmed. Human link complete. Code transferring. Ziri's body jerked once, then went still. The light left her and entered him. The code lived now. Inside Jaxon. Above the chamber, Commander Rail activated the countdown bomb. Seal the vault, he ordered. Burn it all. End this mistake forever. Jackson stood slowly, his eyes now glowing like hers, open. He felt it. Every drone in orbit, every satellite in range. He could hear them all, like whispers in his mind. The code had connected him to the entire battlefield. This is what Raka wanted, he said quietly. Not destruction, but choice. He looked at the console. A blinking button read, Activate code, total disarm. Warning, may trigger system collapse. He hesitated. Was peace worth this? Then he looked at Zerii. She gave her life to carry this. To trust him, he placed his hand on the control. Not for me, he said softly. but for her. And he pressed it above the moon. A shockwave of invisible energy exploded outward. Not fire, not light, just silence. Every ship stopped. The Scorchers froze midair. Their weapons powered down. Earth's war AI went dark. On distant planets, generals stared at black screens. Missiles refused to launch. Combat drones fell from the skies. The war was over. Inside the vault, Jackson collapsed. His body was smoking. But he was still alive. The console went dark. Then something happened. I gasped. She breathed in. Her eyes opened. Alive? Jackson? She whispered. I'm here, he said, voice broken. It's done. She touched his face. You did it. We did it. 3 days later, the War Council sent scouts to the ruined moon. But what they found shocked everyone. The vault was empty. No Jackson, no Ziri. Just a symbol etched in the metal floor. The same symbol once glowing in her chest. Peace. By code. Some say Jackson died with the machine. Some say he became something more. But the girl who once had no name? She lives in the outer worlds now, quiet, watching, waiting. And every time someone speaks of war, they remember the human who chose peace, not because he had to, but because he was asked to take care of a partner. And what he found was more than a weapon. It was someone worth saving.